visiting with Bob Momson. Thank you so much for your willingness to reflect on your life with us. Want to talk about how it all began.
Mm-hmm.
What was the day and the year that you first breathed breath of Earth's atmosphere?
Oh, that was 1919, August 24th.
So
in Minnesota.
So you're coming up on a milestone birthday here in a few months.
Yeah, now that you mention it.
That's great. What town did you say it was?
Excelsior.
Excelsior, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Covenant church there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have friends that live in that community. And you were born into the family of who? What your parents' names?
Adolf and Helen Momson. He's a teacher and held a job there for a while and had a farm, a little farmette at Excelsior.
How many children did they have?
At that time, I was fourth. 7 altogether.
So you were fourth of 7.
Mm-hmm. Sprang in the middle.
And did you complete high school? Did you have the opportunity to go through school?
Yeah. We lived various places, and I went to high school in New Richmond, Wisconsin, and then went for 2 years to River Falls Normal School.
To study to become a teacher?
Actually, I was talking then about becoming a doctor.
Oh.
And after 2 years there, the draft board was on my neck. And I went to Chicago.
What year was that? You recall? Would that have been about 39 or 40?
About 40. Lived there with a friend of mine, and he got me into a line of work he thought was going to get me an exemption. This was the big deal in those days, avoid the draft. Went to work for Carnegie Illinois Steel Corporation. Foolproof, couldn't beat that. Didn't make a bit of difference. I learned about steel.
So you got your draft notice and reported for...
No, actually, Japan came first, and I went and volunteered. I was living in Chicago. Made the mistake of volunteering down there. I should have gone back to my home in Wisconsin. It would have made a big difference to the people there. I didn't know that.
In what way would it have made a difference?
The draft, whatever you call it, district.
They have to get certain quota?
Yeah. And here's one of their prime candidates. I volunteered in Chicago. Oh, they were put out with me.
So where did you end up going for your basic training and boot camp and all of that?
Naval Station in Great Lakes, Illinois. And was there until for about a year, and I got sick. And was sick at the time my group graduated. I ended up going with some other ragtag group, and boot camp there, and then was transferred to Jacksonville, Florida, Naval Hospital at Jacksonville, Florida. I was taking training, medical training, and
so that seed was still in your mind about maybe
yes.
becoming a doctor. That since the time you were a little kid?
No, I suppose along about high school.
Okay.
And went to Jacksonville, worked in the Naval Hospital there. And at that time, there were rumors going around. It all started with an article in the Saturday Evening Post about the Marine base at in Virginia, out in the swamps of Virginia. And the article went on to talk about the terrible conditions and even told about this group of recruits being marched through the swamp, and that was bad enough. But one of them was a short fellow, and they got in where the water was deeper than he was, and he drowned. I don't know, that's what I remember of the story. Anyway, we got to thinking about what a horrible thing that would be. What if we got transferred over to the Marines? Well, hey, just for sport, let's start a rumor. And we did. 3 of us started spreading this rumor that there was going to be a draft of Navy corpsmen being sent to Quantico. And by golly, just a few days later, this was posted on the board, draft of men going to Quantico, and the 3 of us were on it. Tell me how that happened. Transferred to, I don't know what came next. This was at Jacksonville.
So you did go to Quantico for a time?
No, didn't ever go to Quantico.
So the thing that was posted on the board was to go to Jacksonville?
No. New River, North Carolina.
Okay.
And we went there. They were forming up units to be assembled into, finally, the 4th Marine Division. And they would call out, there was a group called to the company, they would blow the whistle, everybody come out, stand in a row, and they would designate what this one, what that one, this other one was going to do. This is your job. And they came down the line, and they needed a carpenter. Wanted to sign somebody as a carpenter. The fellows in my tent had seen me take a little piece of plywood and make a shelf in the corner there, hammer and a few nails. Somebody standing behind me, the way I got the story, somebody standing behind me.
Pointed.
Mentioned carpenter. There's your man. From then on, I was company carpenter. They even gave me a wooden box, toolbox with really very nice tools. And that stayed with me for many years. This title of company carpenter stayed with me.
So did you end up becoming part of the Marine 4th Division?
Yeah, naval attachment to the Marines. And we went to, after it got pretty well organized there in Camp Lejeune, we were shipped to California, to Camp Pendleton. As a unit, had a special train hauled us out there and went dodging all across the country, this way, that way. Finally got to California.
Did you enjoy some of those stops along the way that I've seen documentaries where the women in the community would bake pies and have a canteen as the troops got off the train?
It was hot weather, and they would come out with pieces of watermelon.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Camp Pendleton. And I was still company carpenter. They put together the 4th Marine Division out of scraps and bits, and we finally went went aboard ship in San Diego and went out to Maui in the Hawaiian Islands, and that was our base up on the side of the mountain.
What other memories do you have of that tour of the South Pacific? You were based there in the Hawaiian Islands?
Based in the
Did you see any action there in some of the...
Well, we did various training exercises, and finally the company went to Kwajalein in the near islands. And I didn't go. I was essential company carpenter. I had to stay behind. Most of the men went out there, and there was some shooting going on, but I don't think they didn't lose anybody. Came back and did some more training, and finally went to Saipan in the Marshalls. Saipan and Tinian. We were landing in Saipan. No shooting going on there. Went from there just 3 miles across the strait to the island of Tinian. And there was shooting there when we arrived. There was a lot of action. I got dysentery, and I was only on Tinian for a couple of days, and they sent me out back aboard ship, actually to a hospital ship, and they got me straightened out and put me to work. Hospital ship, corpsman, you take that job over there. That was fine with me. But then the ship was getting ready to go someplace else, and the medical commander came in and talked to me and said, "We'd like you to stay with us, but if you want to go back and go with your unit, it's up to you." I said, "I'll go back." So they sent me back on Saipan. We were based there. And
Saipan is now called what?
Saipan.
Is it still?
Yeah, it's part of the Marshall Islands.
Okay.
And we actually went back to our base in Hawaii, did some more training, this time with naval support. There was cruisers, at least one cruiser and destroyers out there, and we went out and did some circling around and practiced making landings. And then took off and went 61 days, over 60 days on that ship to put into Pearl Harbor for a little while, but mostly we were just at sea, going around, and oh boy, long time.
Did you ever get seasick?
Oh yes. Oh yes. And rumors, of course, daily thing. And finally they were talking about going to Iwo Jima. And we finally did. The Marines had gone ashore 9 days earlier. So they had a little beachhead there. And we went in and landed on that and set up a field hospital. Some of the men were taken from our unit and assigned to the line companies, marine line companies. And one of them was killed. That's the only one of our group that actually died.
Did you know him?
Yeah.
What effect did that have on you when you learned of his death?
Well, sad to hear of it. He was a guy that was from our group that was responsible to go and get little things from the supply. You want a candy bar, you went to him, he went and got it for you. And so he was sort of in charge of all the little extras you could get. And I know some of the people were not that unhappy that he was the one that got tagged.
So you were offshore there during the Iwo Jima conflict. Did you have a visual of the island?
We saw it a little bit the day before we went ashore, but we were quite a ways out. In the morning, when they woke us up and got us up on deck and all geared up with all our packs and everything on, ready to go, you could barely see the island. Then they would put up flares, and you could see pretty much.
So where did you come ashore? Was it near Mount Suribachi?
It was on the, I think on the east side, some distance from Suribachi, yeah.
Do you remember seeing the flag atop the hill?
Oh, on the day that happened, I was working down below. We had a sick bay set up there, and we're taking casualties. And somebody said, "Oh, hey, they got Suribachi. They've got a flag up." So I sneaked on up and peeked over, and sure enough, there was a flag on Suribachi. But
that was a historical day.
It was.
Were you afraid for your life? Did you live knowing that it could very easily happen to you?
I knew that, of course, but I didn't feel any real fear. The morning we went ashore, they got us up early. We had, I don't know, sandwiches or something. We're standing around on deck, and it was still dark, getting a little twilight. And they were getting us organized, group here, group there. And our chief had us over by the rail. Said, "Now, you follow these guys." And what you had to do was climb over the rail and down the landing net and into a boat. Sounds easy enough, but when the ship is here and the boat's doing this, 30 feet more. It could be a little tricky, so standing there by the rail was cold, the morning was cold, and I was thinking, if I come through this, I'm going to try and go the right way, do it right.
Was the Lord in your life at that time?
Not really.
So that's what you were talking about.
Back there someplace.
That's what you meant by the right way. You were going to follow.
I was going to follow the Lord leading. And just about then, it was time to climb over and down into the boat, and that went very well, very easy. You just wait until the boat came up, and you stepped off, and you were in the boat. Went chugging on into shore, and there was one of our chiefs walking around as big as life. He was shooting, you could hear bullets and mortars happening. But there's this chief over there. You're going to set up over there. Okay. By the time I got there, it was someplace else, but it didn't matter. So we had a field hospital on Evo. And I suppose we were on the island about 2 months altogether.
Much of the action then was on a different part of the island at that point.
Yeah. The island's not all that big.
No.
About the size of Mercer Island. And I had a brother in the 5th Division. And I knew some of them were involved there. But I didn't know where they were or anything. We had field telephones. And I'm working in a ward, and the phone rang, and paying attention, somebody called over, "Hey, Momson, it's for you." For you? Nobody ever got a phone call. And unbelievably, it was my brother.
Amazing.
Yeah. Where are you? He was so elated. He couldn't hardly talk.
Mm-hmm.
He told me where he was and how long are you going to be there? Well, he says, not very long. They're going to put me on a plane and go back to Aya Hospital in Oahu. Well, I said, I'll try and get over. So I went to the CO and told him I want to go see my brother. Unbelievable. But he finally says, yeah, we were on 24-hour shifts, noon to noon. And this was getting long toward noon, and it didn't matter to him. So he says, sure, go ahead. Be careful. So I picked up my little carbine and I talked to one of the drivers. We had guys that drove the Jeeps, and they knew the island. I told them where I wanted to go, and he says, go this way, go that way. But be careful, there's still people holed up there. And I hiked over that way. Came to a cut, road cut, just like the Seabees were in there, and they had extended the airfield runway. There was quite a cut, and I was standing on the edge of this cut, looking down, wondering how to get past that. And down below, hiking along this runway, would-be runway, was a company of Marines, ragtag. They had bandages, every one of them, like you'd see in Civil War pictures. Guy with his head all bandaged up, another with his arm and every one of them. And they were singing. Not much of a tune, but they were singing America the Beautiful.
Oh, wow.
They got on past, and I managed to scramble down the hill and went on over and found my brother, helped load him on a plane, and just about that quick, he was gone.
So you just had a short time together.
Yeah, minutes, really. But he was just on cloud nine, just so elated to be out of that hellhole he was in.
How long had he been there?
I don't know. Long enough.
Yeah.
He was in a mortar platoon. He was trained as a paratrooper, so they put him in a mortar platoon. And
then after Iwo, did you end up going to another one of the islands?
No, we went back to Maui, to our base on Maui, and went there very long. I think Japan had capitulated in that time.
Yeah, because Iwo was in February of 45, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they surrendered in September. Or the final documents were signed then.
But things wound down.
After the bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember hearing about the dropping of the bomb?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
It's still emotional after all these years, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Did you consider it a privilege to serve your country?
I was very fortunate that way, yes.
Yeah. As you visit with me today, we're recording this on video, and this tape will be viewed, or a DVD, will be viewed years from now by your grandchildren. You and Olga will probably be in heaven by then, Anything that you want to share that you would like them to be sure and remember now that you have a chance to kind of give them some advice or challenge them?
It's always well to go with the way with the Lord. That's the way.
Thank you for your years of ministry to our refugee families. The Lord has used you and your wife in remarkable ways. Did you ever think that would be part of what you would do when you came to this church?
No. Never dreamed of it. It took a bit of, molding to shape my thoughts. I had such bad thoughts about the Japanese, and by reference all the Asians. So it took quite a while to get over that.
My dad struggled with those same kinds of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the Lord grabbed hold of your heart. Did you make good on that promise that if the Lord would get you through, that you would serve Him?
I think so. Not always strictly down the line, but
yeah.
I've asked for His help any number of times, and it's always worked out. I just talked to my brother a few days ago.
The one that you saw in Iwo?
He's still carrying the bit of shrapnel that he had in his knee, still there. He always laughs and says it earned him a 10% disability all these years. It didn't interfere with his hunting or skiing or fishing, but 10%.
Yours is a generation that we're grateful for, and I just want to be one of the many voices to express gratitude for what you were willing to endure to protect the freedoms that we too often take for granted.
Did our best.
Thanks, God.